Hello and welcome. Today we have quite a few new things that we are going over. So we have the new Westman Atelier blushes. We have the new Makeup by Mario. This is the liquid bronzer that just released. In addition, we have the new Gucci, Rosso, and Cora lipstick, which wasn't going to purchase, but I ended up not being able to resist it. And then we also have the new Augustinus Bader tinted lip balms. So I purchased all three of those. And we have an additional eye look with the Byredo Mineralscapes palette by request. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start off with the Makeup by Mario liquid bronzer. This is called the Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum, and I purchased shade Fair. Now, one of the things I like about this, I actually saw this on Alicia Archer's stories, and that's what ended up making me purchase this. But you have the option of having a pump for dispersing the product or a doe foot applicator here. So let's wash this on my hand, and we'll put this over here. And just do another swatch right next to it so you can really see that color built up. And you can see how this really shears out. So it's going to sheer out a ton. You don't have to worry about shade selection as much with this because it will really sheer out. I probably could have even gone deeper than this just based on how much it shears out. But you can see that the shade Fair here, it's going to be a cool tone like mocha brown. I think it's a really beautiful shade. I like the color a lot. Texturally, this is a very light serum on the skin. Let's take a look at the demos. Now, just a few product details. This is made in the USA. We have a 1-year shelf life and 30 milliliters or 1 full ounce of product, and it retails for $36 US. Now, according to Makeup by Mario, it's a multi-use liquid bronzer that warms the complexion with a sun-kissed glow and softly shapes targeted areas with a sheer, natural second skin finish. It's very light coverage, the finish is natural, and we have a few key ingredients like hyaluronic acid and vitamin E. There's less than 1% synthetic fragrance. You can smell a very faint scent in the product, but it's nothing bothersome or truly noticeable unless you go up and actually smell the product. So it's not something I noticed during application. It's also vegan, gluten-free, and cruelty-free. They recommend using the pump for all-over warmth and the wand for a targeted soft sculpt effect. It hydrates and nourishes with hyaluronic acid and vitamin E while leaving a healthy-looking, soft blurred effect. You can use on bare skin or over foundation. So as you can see in the demo, I tried it on bare skin. For me, I would probably still want to put a skin tint or something on. And I feel like this shears out so much that you can't really see it. Even with something as sheer as a skin tint, if you want to use it underneath, I'd recommend going a shade deeper than what you think that you need and then being able to use that underneath. But with the shade Fair here, it's just a little bit too light for me to do that. So using it on top, I used it, a couple ways. I've used it in the bronzer placement, which you could see in the demo. And then in the final look for today, that portion of the demo, you can see I used it a little bit more as a sculpting product, so a little bit lower. In the what should be hollows of my cheekbones, I have a very round cheek, so I don't have very deep hollows there. But you can see that it definitely adds a subtle sculpting effect, and I think the color is really nice. I do think that the color, if you want to truly use it as a contour product, you need maybe just a touch more gray. But honestly, this soft brown shade, it has a little bit of that mousy gray shade in there. So it could actually be used in both applications depending on your complexion. But I think, using it as a bronzer is ideal. Overall, I think it's a very nice product and it goes on very smoothly. But now I just want to make a note that if you are using a thin layer of this, you're shearing it out, this product will fully set into the skin. It feels very seamless. There's no tackiness or anything on the skin. However, if you're going to layer this up and then try to move it around, you can end up having a little bit of lifting of your base product. So I would definitely recommend going in very light layers, letting them set in between each application. So if you are trying to layer it, just make sure that the previous layer fully sets before moving in. Now, I recently featured the Say Bronzing Liquid in Salt on my channel, and I just wanted to compare the shades here. So here's the Makeup by Mario in Fair, and this is the Say in Salt. You can see it is going to be a bit deeper. This one for me works better underneath foundation because yes, you can sheer it out, but it definitely doesn't get anywhere as sheer as the Makeup by Mario. And this is going to be a little bit deeper. It has more gray in it when it's built up, but overall, you know, you definitely have like that warm golden hue for both of them. Overall, both of these shades are cooler on the spectrum than your traditional bronzer. And I also wanted to compare it to the Westman Atelier Contour Stick in Biscuit. So we'll put that right here on the other side of it. So you can see that all three of these shades, while different, are all fairly similar with tone. I would say that the Biscuit shade is closest to Fair in Mario, but obviously the finish is going to be pretty different. You can see how much more sheer this gets. And there's a little bit more gray in the Mario than in the Westman Atelier. So it's slightly cooler. So let's go ahead and move on to the Westman Atelier new Baby Cheeks blushes. So I'm going to go ahead and I think we'll do the new shades down here vertically. And then I'm going to swatch the rest of the collection here. So this first shade here you can see is, let me just go ahead and show you the full bullet here. But you can see that this is going to be a soft peachy pink shade. And when you buff this out, just put a little bit here. This is what it's going to look like sheared out. So this is the shade Coquette. So very soft peachy pink. So it's like a warm tone pink. And then we have Garçon. And this they describe as a mauve. It's not really a mauve. There's definitely more brown in here than a mauve. You can see it blended out. I think it's a really beautiful shade though. And we're going to swatch all of the Westman Atelier blushes, but first I wanted to take a look at the new Tom Ford. This is the Cafe Blush. And I just wanted to make a little swatch comparison down here with Garçon. You can see how much warmer the Tom Ford is. It has more peach in there compared to Garçon. But they do have a pretty similar effect on the cheeks. The Westman Atelier does appear a bit cooler when it's blended out. All right, so let's go ahead and start swatching. This one here is my favorite from Westman Atelier. This is the shade Mimi, and I'll just buff out the ends of these. You can see how different it is from Coquette. It's definitely going to be more of a dusty color. We do have some warmth to it. It is kind of like a very soft, warm rosewood. Next, we have Chouchette, and this is going to be another peachy shade, but you can see this is more of a peach compared to Coquette, which has so much more pink in it. This is Minette. Now, Minette is different because it has shimmer in here. This one actually, it's my least favorite of these blushes. It is definitely a peachy, shimmery shade. You can see has a little bit more of a coral vibe to it, like a bright coral versus Coquette. But they do have, they're probably the closest in shade out of all of the other Westman Atelier blushes. And this is the only one that has shimmer in it. So there are glitter particles. Then we have the shade Petal, which is the iconic shade from Westman Atelier. This is what they started with. And you can see that it's going to be a nice neutral pink shade there. This one here is Pop It, which is going to be a bright fuchsia pink. I love this one for summer. It is so nice. And I have to say, although these Westman Atelier blushes, I've been collecting these since they came out, and I've held them onto them way past the shelf life with no issues. There's no scent, no change in texture or anything. So just so you know, they do kind of hold up really well. And this is the shade Doo Doo, which is going to be your closest to Garçon, but you can see it's going to be more berry. This one definitely has more of that dusty rose vibe to it, mixed with some brown. So this is the Basma cream blush in the shade Mauve. So I wanted to also compare this one. And you can see the texture of this is much thinner, more, you know, I guess more gel-like in a way. It's more sheer. And you can see it's a lot more pink than the Garçon shade. This is the Chanel #1 in #3, Vital Beige. And let's see how that compares here. You can see that the formula for these are going to be glossier. These are a bit dewier of a product. They sheer out very nicely. And this has a little bit more red in it than Garçon. This is the Cle de Peau cream blush in shade #3. And this is definitely going to be a bit more orangey. We'll go ahead and put that there. And this one is Cle de Peau in #4. We'll put this one right here. And you can see that those shades don't really compare to either of them. And Chanel #1 in #2, Healthy Pink. Let's go ahead and see how this one goes up here. Ooh, significantly deeper. But when you shear that out, you can see there's a bit more of a dusty rose hue to it in comparison with the Westman Atelier. And just a few Cure White shades. This is the shade Embrace. This is going to be a lighter, more like milky, peachy pink, but you can see color-wise, they are pretty similar. This is just going to be a little bit milkier. This one here is Blossoming from Cure Weiss. This was the first one I ever bought, I think. Let's go ahead and put this one down here. You can see it's going to be a bit deeper and similar color, but it's got more pink in it. It's a little bit warmer in tone as well, like a bit of a warmer pink, like a salmon pink. And then this shade here is called Reverence. And this one's one of my favorites. And you can see it's just a nice soft pink. Doesn't quite go though with either of the new shades from Westman Atelier. So let's move on to the cheek demos while we talk about some product details. The Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Sticks have 6 grams of product, an 18-month shelf life, and they are made in Italy. They retail for $48 US. Right now, these 2 new shades are available at Westman Atelier and Bergdorf Goodman, and they will be at Sephora on the 30th, and I expect to see them at other retailers around that time as well. According to Westman Atelier, it's clean, baby fresh color for cheeks, lips, and lids. Multi-purpose hydrating finish that complements all skin tones. So it is a multi-stick. You can use it anywhere. I use these exclusively on the cheeks personally. That's just my favorite application for them. And I think they're a really great cream blush. They are one of my top cream blush formulas. You know, they go on very nicely. You can build up the color. You can sheer them out. Yet you have color that lasts, at least on me, it lasts all day. And I don't feel any texture on the skin. It doesn't accentuate texture or lift any base products. So I think it's a really great product. And according to Westman Atelier, it says infuse skin with a naturally effervescent flush of color in one easy to use swipe. The creamy texture melts onto skin and is formulated with skin soothing ingredients that work to balance moisture. Now, as I mentioned, I get all day wear on these, so they're going to last all day, 10, 12 hours. You can still see it. Of course, towards the end of that time frame, you will start getting some fading, but the color holds up really well and there's no texture on the skin. If I like to do 1, maybe 2 layers, pat it out depending on the color, but the more you build up, the more movement you could have, you know, the less easy it is for the product to set, but it will set fully if you are blending the product out on your skin. And I think it's a really great cream blush formula. As I mentioned, it is one of my favorites, with some of my other favorites being the Cle de Peau cream blushes, the Cure Weiss cream blushes, and the Violette FR. So I hope that was helpful. Let's take a look at the Westman Atelier swatches one more time. We have Coquette here vertically and Garçon. And then I just wanted to swatch the Violette FR blush. This is the Bisou blush in Louise, just to see how that compares. But you can see that that is going to be, it's actually very much like the Tom Ford. So I would say that for the Tom Ford, the Violette FR in Louise is a pretty similar shade, but not quite that close to Garçon. None of the other shades really kind of go with either of those. So just a quick review. We've got Coquette, we have Garçon, and then we have Mimi, Chouchette, Minette, Petal, Poppet, Do. And then we went through some other brands here as well. So I hope that was helpful. Let's go ahead and move on to the Byredo Mineralscapes look. So this is just a quick look at the Byredo palette. Again, this is one of my favorite palettes that have come out this year. I think is fantastic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and swatch the shades that I used in the look, and then we'll just take a quick look at that. So we've got this shade here, which I used in the crease, and then I used this shade at the top, very softly, more in the brow bone and the inner corner. And then I did a matte, kind of dusky purpley gray all over the lid, followed by the matching satin shade, which went over the majority of the lid, but then closer to the inner corner, I used this shimmery green here. So those were the shades that I used for today's eye look. So let's take a look at that. And accompanying this eye look, I used a couple other favorite products. So we have the Chantecaille eyeliner in Olive Brocade, which has been like a favorite of mine since well before I started a YouTube channel. I love that shade. I hope they never stop making that. And then also the Byredo mascara. This was a limited edition that came out over the holidays. It's called Eroded Echo. It's really hard to find now, but I was able to find another tube at Selfridges. So I've got some backups now, and it's just this really beautiful teal shade. I think it goes great with this palette, as well as a lot of the color stories that have come out this year. And then I used the Byredo brow pencil in Sand, which is really becoming a go-to for me. As for the Byredo palette, this palette is still selling out quickly when it pops up. So every time it pops up at Nordstrom, like within an hour or so, it sells out again. So if you are looking for this, it is still coming back in stock. I'd highly recommend getting it if you see it, if it's one that you're interested in. We have a 1-year shelf life on here with 30 grams of product. It's called the Mineralscapes palette, and I think it's just really beautiful if you like some of those cooler shades. We do have some warm shades in here. We've got some neutral shades, but we also have a lot of things that lean a bit cooler, and it's more like cool neutral on the spectrum. So I think that works well for a lot of people unless you have overly warm skin tones. So I hope that was helpful to see another look with that palette. It's definitely one that I've been reaching for a lot, and I've had a few requests to see it again, and hopefully we'll have time to do more with that in another video in the future. But let's go ahead and we're gonna move on to the Augustinus Bader lip balms. All right, so let's take a look at the Augustinus Bader lip balms. One thing I'd like to bring your attention to is the packaging on these. To show that these are the tinted lip balm, you do have a strip of color. It's a pink shade down at the bottom. All 3 shades have that same color on the packaging. The regular lip balm does not have that. Now I have the regular lip balm. It's one that I really like. If you like an oilier texture, which I don't always, but during certain times of the year I do. It's one that I like to use a lot more during the warmer months. During the winter months, I feel like it's just not hydrating enough for me. So I don't tend to use that one as often then, but it's a nice lip balm. It's a soft texture, so it does, you kind of use that pretty quickly. So this is shade number 1. This is going to be your cooler tone soft red. And then number 2 is going to be your warmer tone soft red. Now you can see that we've got a bit more like pink in number 1. We have more of a corally peach in number 2. It's really more of an orangey coral shade overall. And then shade number 3 is going to be more of your berry shade here with a touch of, there's a little bit of brown in there, but it's really just more of a very soft, muted berry. Let's take a look at these on the lips. So these retail for $43 US, and we have 4 grams of product with a 6-month shelf life here. These are going to be made in France. So they're a really nice lip balm if you like a thinner, more of a lip oil type of texture. Now, according to Augustinus Bader, this is a sheer, deep, pink tinted lip balm that nourishes, plumps, and renews for softer, smoother, healthier looking lips. Comes in 3 universal sheer yet buildable shades, and is powered by their TFC8 complex, which is, you know, the complex in all of the Augustinus Bader products. So these are supposed to enhance your lips with a sheer wash of color. You can build up the color. They're hydrating, nourishing. They're supposed to alleviate the feeling of dry or chapped lips. And there are natural plumping agents to lock in moisture so your lips appear plumper, smoother, and more supple. And we have a nourishing blend of plant-based butters and oils to moisturize the skin and protect from environmental stressors. Now, I have to say, I think it's a really nice lip balm. And one of the things I'd like to note about these is we've seen a lot of tinted lip balms, and we'll do a video with a whole bunch of different ones sometime. But these are, first of all, the texture is more oil-based than what we've seen in a lot of the other ones so far. And they are a bit more pigmented with one swipe of color than many of the other lip balms that we have seen recently. So overall, I think they're a really nice lip balm. And the packaging on this is metal with a click closure. And yeah, overall, I think it's really beautiful. It's a very chic packaging. I really like the packaging on these a lot. And I think these are really comfortable, really nice for, you know, summer and those warmer months. So just one more time though, we have shades 1, 2, and 3 for the lip balms. And then our last product of the day is the new Gucci Rosso Ancora red lipstick, which I originally was not going to pick up, but I couldn't resist this shade. So we're going to put this here because we are going to be doing some comparisons. You can see that the first swipe was pretty pigmented to start off with. So this is going to be kind of it's a pretty neutral red. Let's take a look at the lip swatches. So the Gucci Rosso Ancora lipstick, this is in the Rouge à Lèvres matte formula. It retails for $47 US, and right now it is available on the Gucci website. That's where I purchased mine. And this is the first lipstick by creative director Sabato De Sarno. So it says, drawing inspiration from Gucci's rich heritage, this deep red hue is reminiscent of the walls of one of the Savoy Hotel's elevators in London. It was here the founder, Guccio Gucci, worked as a porter in the late 19th century and found the spark to create his renowned leather goods and luggage brand. The creamy matte texture of the lipstick is infused with passion and irreverent glamour, making a bold statement with its long-lasting velvety finish. The formula is enriched with rich pigments and hydrating oils, delivering intense color and a lightweight feel for confident wear. Now this package does have special packaging to kind of differentiate it from the others. This is like the new signature red from Gucci. And so we have a red upper with the gold base here. So this is shade number 509, Rosso Ancora. And as I mentioned, is the matte formula. And the fragrance is described as a floral fragrance with violet notes and a soft fruity scent. And I have to say, you know, it doesn't seem to be as overpowering as some Gucci lipsticks that I have used in the past. Just a couple of notes here, has an 18-month shelf life and it's made in Italy. So overall, I think this is a really beautiful red. If you're looking for a power red lipstick, this is a great one, but I did want to go through a few comparisons as well. And I want to show you the lip pencil that I used with this today. This is from Dior and it's 760 Favorite. You can see it's just a little bit cooler in tone than the Gucci, but they're a really good match. And this is from the most recent formula update for the lip pencils from Dior. So let's do just a few comparisons. I want to start off with a couple of Sisley lipsticks. So this one here is 44 Rouge Hollywood. And this is going to be, you can see it's a little bit warmer. It's a little bit more neutral. We have a little bit more of a blue tone in the Gucci compared to the Sisley 44. But this is the new 45 Rouge Milano from Sisley. So let's see how this one compares. You can see it's a little bit more burgundy. All of these shades are still fairly similar, but you can see this one's gonna be a little bit more muted, not quite as bright as the Gucci. From Hermes, we have 62 Matte Rouge Feu. And I wanted to see how this one compares, but you can see this is gonna be a bit brighter. It's a little bit more neutral. We've got a little bit more warmth in it. Again, still just a little bit more blue in the Gucci. And then the first lipstick that I thought of was actually this one from Byredo, which is called Mad Red. But you can see that this is going to be more burgundy based. It's cooler in tone than the Gucci. And then we have a couple more. Got a couple of the Dries Van Noten lipsticks. And I'll have to put the names on the screen because they don't put them on here, but this is going to be the Satin in 99. If I remember, this might be like something like Favorite Red. And you can see those are pretty close, but the DVN is just a little bit cooler in tone. And then this other one here, I broke this one by mistake, but this is 75. And I'd have to check. I want to say it's like Crafted Red, but I'll put the name on the screen. You can see this one's going to be a bit warmer. So this is how the Gucci compares to quite a few classic red lipsticks. So let me know what you think of these products, and let's go ahead and just do a quick summary of what we've looked at. So we started off with the Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. This is a really nice bronzing serum. If you like an all over glow, you can definitely, or all over warmth, you can definitely kind of use this all over, and you've got a pump for that. But you can also twist it off and get a doe foot applicator for more targeted application. And I personally really like that feature. So the packaging is what kind of won me over to try this. The color itself, I think, is a nice shade. It's still warm, but it leans very cool on the warm spectrum, which is great for those of us who are fair toned and need a little bit more coolness in our bronzer because we don't tan. So I think it's a really nice product. It sheers out a lot. So I think it's a really beautiful product. Definitely use it on top of whatever base you are wearing for the day, or, you know, bare skin if you're not planning on covering that up. And then we looked at the new Westman Atelier cream blush sticks in Coquette and Garçon. And I think these are great. This is one of my favorite cream blush formulas. I think the new shades are a great addition. And yeah, you know, not too much else to say. They are really nice. If those are colors that you like, then they're definitely worth looking into at some point. And then we moved on. We did another look with the Byredo Mineralscapes palette and just took a look at that. So we could use that again. Again, it's one of my favorite palettes that have come out this year. After that, we moved on to the new Augustinus Bader lip balms, which I think are a really great formula. These are going to be a sheer, more oil-based lip balm, and they're pretty pigmented with one swipe, which, you know, they're a bit more pigmented than many of the other lip balms on the market. So I think they're really nice, a great alternative to wearing lipstick or lip gloss during the summer in particular. And then we moved on to the Gucci lipstick in Rosso and Cora, and we did a few comparisons. It's a nice velvety formula. It stays on the lips really well, and the scent is not too overpowering. Now, is it the same fragrance as the other Gucci matte lipsticks? I can't say for sure because I have primarily tried their satins and so forth, and the Gucci lipsticks were not a favorite of mine, so I kind of stopped purchasing those years back. And so from my recollection, I can't say whether or not it is the same fragrance or not, but what I can say is it's definitely not as strongly fragranced as some of my other lip products from them, which are in the satin formula. So I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know what you think of all of these items, any favorites of yours, if you're interested in trying any of these, or if you already have. So please share down below in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.